Mandatory Mekachu, episode 2.
Mandatory Mekachu places with pints. Mandatory Mekachu places with pints.
Hi, welcome to episode 2 of Mandatory Makju. We are here at Tony's bar in Itaewon. Hi, Tony.
Hello,
Good evening.
how are you?
I'm
Hi,
wonderful.
kids.
How are you?
How's it going? I'm trying to pretend to be an alcoholic, but it's Coke.
Tony, you and I, we've been pals, right? Okay, but one thing that I actually don't know is I'm really curious about the history of this bar. How did it end up here? What made you decide to open up here? What's the story?
Usually people ask me what brought me to Korea, and my obvious reply is a really big aeroplane. But I ended up here in 2002 during the World Cup. I was invited here. I was part of the FIFA contingent, and they invited me from Australia here
Oh my
as
goodness.
part of the World Cup. And I was basically a drummer playing in the World Cup band. And we were doing all the gigs around town and playing with the various Korean artists and Korean venues. And the World Cup was a really crazy and fun time here. And I knew nothing about Korea. I looked around and I just went, wow, this is Korea, really? And I fell in love with it, and I decided to stay here, and I formed an entertainment company, and I opened businesses, and I did all kinds of stuff here. And now, 14 years later, I'm still here. The idea was that this was going to be my production house, aka studio. I wanted to have a room where I could jam and do drum stuff. My basic idea was music, right? And then I was here jamming with some friends, and then people started coming in, and they were bringing in their own drinks. And then I'm like, no, you can't do that. If you want to come and watch us play, you should at least buy drinks. Then the first fridge came, then the second fridge came, then tables and chairs came, and that's how it happened. So basically, this place is an out for me to perform for my friends, and that's what I do. I'm an entertainer. I'm into entertainment, not into the profit. The only profit I see from this place is nothing. I do it for love.
And I'm sure you've seen a lot, like on your Mondays and Thursday nights. Do you have any like really memorable moments from those Monday and Thursday night jams?
Okay, now
Particularly?
I'm starting to let out a few secrets here. The reason for the jam nights is really, I just need somebody to play with. I need people to practice with. It's the best form of practice, is jamming with people. But I love the idea of, and the adventure of anybody just walking in through the door and having to play with them. It's actually really fun and exciting, and I've made some great musical friends, and we've had lots of people who have started as nobodies in my bar and have gone out and done their own thing and established themselves and become quite name acts in Korea these days.
Okay. Anything that you feel that the viewers in Mandatory Makju should know?
Yeah, get in here quickly before the place goes. We're not going to be here too much longer.
Really?
We're up for sale.
What?
Yes.
Tony.
Yeah. Cheers. It's been a great 10 years. Bottoms up.
Here we go. Cheers.
Go for it.
Wow. I used to drink a lot of Guinness back in New York, and this just like brings me back so many good memories. It tastes like it should. Tastes like it should. Like Guinness in Korea tends to be expensive, of course, but usually I don't feel like it's worth the price. But here, man, this really feels.
Well, when we first got Guinness in, I'm not all about the price. I'm all about the quality.
Yeah.
And when we had it in here, we had it at 6,001, which was basically
what a
nothing.
bargain. Yeah.
And then the powers to be at Diageo kept pushing the price up, and I kept absorbing it for so many years. And then finally it just got to the point where they said, you know, you've got to put it up, because I was losing money on it. So then it went to 7. And they're like, 7? Everywhere else is charging 13.
Yeah.
You know, And some places 15. Why is 7? I've gone, look, $1's a big deal in Itaewon, you know. And then it got extremely crazy, and then it went up to what it is today. But people have always come here for the quality. When you see a room full of Irish people in here drinking my Guinness and not at other places,
Right.
It tells you something. And today we're going to do the most popular one, which is the Cooper's Pale. Now this used to come in a brewing kit many years ago, and you could be able to brew your own home brew.
Wow.
Yeah. And it got so popular that the company just started making bottles. And this is where we are today. Now, the Cooper's Pale is a pretty hoppy beer. It's got a nice taste. I wouldn't know because I don't drink, but this is what my people tell me. And it's the same deal as when I met Fergal Murray, who is the Guinness Grand Brewmaster, about my legendary Guinness. And he said to me, if you don't drink, and then how do you know what your beer tastes like? And I just looked at him and I said, well, you know, Fergal, you see that big hole in the middle of your face? It's called a mouth. And a mouth does two things. It drinks and it talks. Well, you see these pink things on my head? They're called ears. I listen and I do. And he was like, oh, great, old school, I like it. So that's how I know about my beers and my alcohols, because I listen to people's feedback, right? So with the Coopers, there's a little known tradition that we have with Coopers. When you buy Coopers, you need to roll it.
Why is that?
Because it has little pieces of poop at the bottom, right? And the poop needs to mix.
Yeah, gotta make sure we get...
You call it sediment. Here it comes. Put your mouth around it.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Have a nice sip.
Wow, it's so refreshing.
That's our pale ale.
Yeah.
Calm down, not too much. Come on. I want to show you. Behave.
It doesn't have like the overpowering taste of hops that some pale ales have. This is yeah, I mean, I think anybody can drink this, even if you're not a fan of the pale ale. It doesn't seem like it's going to be something that'll turn you off from it.
Do you know why they call it 4X? Most people think because Queenslanders cannot spell beer. But the true story why they call it 4X is because you cannot write the word shit on a beer. So they just call it 4X. And back home, some people in the outback call it barbed wire because it looks like barbed wire. Yeah, mate, give me a bottle of barbed wire. But 4X, shit for beer. So he wants to try a 4X because he used to be Queensland.
That's right.
Memories from the corners of my beer.
Takes me back.
Where? How far back? When you were a baby?
Not too far. Not too far. It actually reminds me of like Cass and Height and Max and all the Korean beers. It's very similar, kind of watered down taste.
Did he just say that? Cass and Height? That's a bottle opener. Actually, he's right, because those beers are shit anyway, so 4X is in line with those shit beers too, you know. We've had some amazing Australian beers here that you would never even dream of would ever come to Korea. Like we've had Tui's, we've had Pure Blonde, we've had some great beers here, but they just stop. For some reason the importer just stops bringing them in or whatever, the excuse, but it's really up to them what we get in. And I was one of the first guys to sell 4X and VB, Victoria Bitter, in the country, yeah. And one of the first guys to push the Cooper's range as well. In the 10 years that I've been here, I've done a lot to promote Australian alcohol and to try to get people as drunk as possible, even though I don't drink. And if anybody ever comes into my bar and asks me for Foster's, it'll be the last thing they ever do. Trust me. Because Foster's is American for beer!
Thank you so much for joining us again for this episode of Mandatory Makju.
Look for episode 3 on Mimi's YouTube channel. It'll be coming up soon.
Rock and roll, Tony's Bar, Itaewon.
Mandatory Makju places the pints. Mandatory Makju places the pints.